I'm sure responsibility means something different to each of you here. When you hear the word, you may think of schoolwork, a family commitment, or taking responsibility for your actions. But for me, the first thing that comes to mind is my duty to my family and my community. So basically everyone in this chapel today. Within my small family of my sister, my grandma, my dad, and me, I'm the baby. It's kind of a known fact that I'm the lazy one, the spoilt one, and I'd argue otherwise, but often the annoying one. And until recently, I was also the dependent one. I refused to go shopping without my sister. I never packed without my grandma's help, and it was mission impossible for me to hide just about any secret from my dad. I liked to believe that I was independent, but the truth is, I wasn't responsible for myself, let alone anyone else. But that all changed 4 years ago. Now, most people who know me are aware of my terrible memory. My friends even joke that I was probably dropped on my head as a child, although they may be implying more than just a bad memory. But regardless of how little I remember before the age of, well, honestly, like 15, I perfectly recall my sister running into my social science class in grade 8 with tears in her eyes, telling me that my dad was being removed from his position as the chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission of Pakistan. It would take really long for me to explain the details, so I'll keep it short and simple. Pakistan is a country filled with very powerful, yet very corrupt people. And sometimes, when we try to do the right thing in my country, it backfires. So when my dad filed a criminal case against a large Pakistani stockbroker who was also related to the largest news agency in the country, he suddenly faced pressures from many powerful people not to file it. But since his job was to catch businesses in their wrongdoings, he followed through, which led to a year-long Supreme Court case in which the stockbroker influenced the judges to remove my dad from his position. Suddenly, my dad was put in the middle of a scandal broadcasted throughout the country. That was on the 12th of April, 2013. A few months later, I moved to Canada and joined Appleby. For those of you who enjoy Canadian winters, I admire you, because just thinking about them makes me shiver. So you can imagine my shock when I was thrown in to the negative 25-degree weather instead of the 20-degree winters I'm used to back at home. But more than the adjustments accompanying my move, I had to get used to doing things for myself. My dad was unable to leave Pakistan because he was placed on the exit control list, since he was in the middle of a Supreme Court case. My sister had just moved to university, and as much as my grandma would like to take care of me, she has arthritis, and I often found it to be the other way around. So, my confused 14-year-old self trudged to the grocery store through the snow or hopped onto public transport without always knowing where I was going. With vacuuming the house, managing my schoolwork, and making my own way to meet my friends, I soon stopped relying on others and started to actually take responsibility for myself. But as I look back on that year, I know that that was the easy part. What was a lot harder was the sense of responsibility I felt toward my family. As my dad went through some of the most difficult months of his life, my sister watched her hero suffer, and my grandma worried for arguably her favorite son, I constantly made an effort to help them. And a lot of the time, that simply meant listening or joking with them to cheer them up, but my annoyingly positive attitude, which generally involved my typical lame jokes, helped my family get through what was a very challenging time for us. As I supported them, I started to develop a new sense of responsibility, one that I soon applied to everyone in my life. Even though, thankfully, nothing as difficult as my father's case has happened in the past few years, I've started to approach situations very differently since then. Because after that year, I began to believe that in order to be truly happy, we have to accept our responsibility to those around us. I know it sounds a little weird. We're 16, 17. Most of us aren't really in charge of taking care of people yet. But I mean it in a bit of a different sense. When I say our responsibility to those around us, I mean supporting them and being there for them when they need us. It sounds pretty simple, but it's something I often find missing within the Appleby community. Coming from Pakistan, I was used to people dropping everything to support one another. Like when my best friend mailed me a package filled with food, toys, and movies because she thought I was stressed about my exams, or when another friend met me the day before a physics exam when I returned home to visit Pakistan. It's this culture that I missed most when I came to Canada. One where people eagerly sacrifice their own needs to support or be there for their friends. But the same mindset is what I try to apply to my life at Appleby. For me, it means drinking Light's energy with my roommate when she needs me to stay up all night. It means running from the dining hall to the arena on Wednesday mornings so I can make it to first period bio class on time, and leaving my work when someone comes in to ask for help with an assignment. And by remembering what others need, I'm able to prioritize and strengthen my relationships with them, which is what makes me happy. There are countless moments every day where we get the chance to help each other. And it's not that the supportive culture is missing at Appleby, but in our busy lives, we tend to ignore it. I'll help them later when I don't have to work on an essay, or when I'm not preparing a capstone presentation, or when I'm not practicing hockey, or when I'm not out with my friends. I don't know about you, but I'll admit I subconsciously do this all the time. But with each excuse, we eventually stop helping each other because we're too caught up in our own lives. To all of you here, I say we should change that. So for your New Year, New Me resolutions, why not make one of them to do one thing every day that lets you support someone you care about? And for those of you who forget about your New Year's resolutions by mid-January, like I usually do, tell your friends and family today that you are going to be responsible for them whenever they need something. Senior ones, you are going through what is by far the hardest year of school. And I say that after a term of grade 12. But even though you may sometimes feel like schoolwork is killing you, remember that there are around 172 other students who understand exactly how you feel. So help each other out. Make study groups for tests and divide up chapters to make notes for. Skype your friend for 2 hours when they need help with an Instagram caption, even though you think it's useless. And most importantly, remember to listen to each other and build your friends up by encouraging them in everything they do. Because sometimes the best way to help your classmates is to sincerely be there for them. My fellow senior twos, we all know we're known to be the class with a lot of drama. But in the 6, actually 5 months we have left, I hope we can let it all go and embrace the responsibility we have to each other, to genuinely want our friends to succeed and be willing to let go of what we want in order to help them do so. Living at school, we're always going to have people asking us to help them with a math problem during study, coming into our room searching for snacks, or panicking and begging us to review a university supplement they have due the next day. So, instead of shutting our doors and hiding our food, I want to challenge our class to put what we want aside to support each other. Because helping your friends with a university application isn't going to reduce your chances of getting in. Trust me. Putting others before myself is hard, and it definitely is not something I've mastered. But I plan to work on it this year, and I hope you'll do that with me. So, if at any point, any of you needs a hand to help you, an ear to listen to you, or a shoulder to lean on, I will be there, because that is my responsibility. Now please rise and join me in singing hymn 500.